everyone, welcome to Study IQ English. We all know that the West Asian war is not ready to stop. It's raging, and unfortunately many more countries including Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, UK, Cyprus, all these are now a part of the war. Recently, we saw how Iran has been retaliating against the airstrikes and bombing that is being conducted on Iranian territory from Israel and US coalition. Now, naturally, after the death of the supreme leader of Iran, Mr. Khamenei, Iran is not going to tolerate this attack quietly. So therefore, Iran has been retaliating, and Iran has also been shooting missiles. It has been conducting airstrikes on all the air bases, military bases that belong to US and UK in the West Asia, that is, in its neighborhood. In this growing controversy, there is the Strait of Hormuz that stands to be closed now. We also understand about 1/3 of global oil supply chains are routed through this region. That means a severe shortage of oil, lack of energy security. But the bigger question that's intriguing most of us is that if China and Russia were stable trade partners to Iran, if China and Russia had promised support to Iran and the Khamenei government, then why is China so quiet today? China is not the country to stay back and be just a passive spectator. And China is also being severely impacted by the closure of Strait of Hormuz. Then why is China choosing to be quiet? Why is Russia not doing anything except just giving vocal consolations and condemning this attack on Iran? So let's understand what exactly is going on here and what action will China possibly take in times to come. Now, do remember a very important topic that this is for GS paper 2 international relations and energy security. Here, there is one thing that stands out very clearly, that the world today is witnessing a crumbling of multilateral institutions like UN, and on the other hand, we are seeing unilateralism. The world has become a duopolistic place to live in now. In the Western Hemisphere, if Mr. Trump is dominating through the Monroe Doctrine revival that today we are calling Dunroe Doctrine, it is in the Eastern Hemisphere that China, through its string of pearls policy, salami slicing policy, and the 9-dash line, grey zone politics is now ruling the roost. So that's the kind of unsafe world, and West Asia again totally in crumble right now. So that's the situation, and right now we are looking at the Strait of Hormuz. We have seen that. I also keep telling you about the importance of map work here. This is the place where UAE kind of pokes into Iranian territory, making this strategic choke point right in this area. What's going on? We know that China is a country that had stable links with Iran. Not just a trade relationship, but also China does depend on this area for most of its energy need, for its energy security, and that's also the reason why President Trump was criticizing China throughout. Why? Because on the one hand, China is the top leading importer of Russian Ural oil. On the other hand, China is also taking oil from this region. Both the regions are not appreciated by Mr. Trump really. So now, looking at China's dependence on this Iranian oil, we understand that China buys about 80% of all Iranian oil exports. That is about 1.38 million barrels per day. That also means about 14% of Chinese seaborne crude imports are all routed through this region, that is Strait of Hormuz, and today it's closed. So imagine the loss and the energy deprivation China is going through. Now, nearly 44% of Chinese oil imports are coming from the Middle East. What does that mean? It means that today, as Strait of Hormuz is closed by Iran in retaliation, it will sharply increase oil price for China, the galloping manufacturing hub that China is. China needs energy, and prices will soar up to about $100 to $130 per barrel. This will indeed hurt Chinese economy. Now, initially when President Trump was imposing sanctions on Russia, China was angry. China said you should not pose these kind of unilateral sanctions on Ural oil, because ultimately it is China which absolutely depends on Russian oil. So China wasn't respecting those sanctions on Russian oil either. But today, the next source, that's Iranian oil, is also going to shut. So what is China going to do? But let's also understand that Iran is having another importance for China. Iran is a part of 25-year cooperation agreement under the BRI, the Belt and the Road Initiative. We know there is the maritime route. There is the land route. We know that BRI is a project which, initiated from China, aims to cover all the strategic military and civilian use ports. Apart from that, many other important strategic choke points running from China up until to the Middle East. It all means that China believes in the debt trap policy. China does invest in these countries for infrastructure and then loans them out. After that, China expects them to act like an economic colony. The same example we have seen in the case of Sri Lanka and Pakistan earlier. Now, same thing is true of Iran as well. Iran is a country which is very crucial for China in terms of the Belt and Road Initiative connectivity. And this connectivity project includes energy, infrastructure, transport projects. So why will China tolerate instability in Iran in the first place? Now here, a very valid question comes up. A lot of students often get confused between BRI of China and India's alternative IMEC. The India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor that India had announced as a part of the G20 summit, that's in 2023. The idea behind IMEC is also to connect India by bypassing Pakistan into Afghanistan and then directly to West Asia on to Eastern Europe. But let's be very clear. Iran is not exactly a strategic part of IMEC. That's true that India has invested a lot of money in the Chabahar port in Iran, where near the Bandar Abbas port region. That's correct. And today attacks in this area also mean a loss of Indian investment. Okay, so Chabahar port indeed is a strategic point for India. Yes, and also it is a very important part of international north-south corridor. That's also very important, and Iran is a connectivity link there through Chabahar port. But directly if you look at IMEC, then Iran is not a strategic part of this region. So let's not get confused here. Iran is crucial for Chabahar, which is crucial for international north-south transport or transshipment corridor. We are saying that Iran is actually a very integral part of China's BRI. So Chinese infrastructure, Chinese energy, all these investments are threatened today as Iran is under siege. Now, initially also, much before US and Israel attacked Iran, this time in 2026, last year in 2025 also, both these countries had attacked Iran. Last year, the agenda was very different. Mr. Trump said Iran is continuing to make nuclear weapons, and although Iran is a party to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, Iran has also opened up for inspection of its nuclear site by IAEA, headquartered in Vienna. Plus, Iran had also signed back in 2015 the very famous JCPOA agreement with all the permanent 5 members of United Nations Security Council and Germany together, under which Iran had agreed to put an upper cap on uranium enrichment. Iran had promised that I will not make nuclear weapons, but I will continue to do uranium enrichment, but under control. At the same time, Iran also said, I am not going to promise any halting, any stopping of my ballistic missile program. Today, exactly 1 year later, US and Israel attack Iran. Let's remember, in between, that's around 2018, President Trump also abandoned JCPOA midway. So exactly what is America wanting? What does US want? Is it really about nuclear control, or is it actually about the regime change in Iran? That's what most people are asking. Now, in between, the name of Mr. Reza Pahlavi was being introduced. People said that a lot of pro-democracy fighters in Iran want Mr. Reza Pahlavi, but then people are also saying he is absolutely a symbol of US hegemony. So it will make Iran a puppet government. So exactly what is the intention of US? Was it just about oil control? Was it about nuclear stopping, or was it actually about regime change and then capturing the entire West Asian political spectrum is the bigger question today. But what does China do? China knows that Iran is crucial for BRI. China knows Iran is important for my oil and energy security, but still China is also expert in using foreign policy judiciously. So therefore, China today is not doing any direct retaliation. China is not doing any direct confrontation with US right now. In fact, China is only very quietly condemning these attacks, criticizing these attacks, requesting for a ceasefire, and in the meantime, China is thinking of diversifying its energy imports, that is, more oil from Russia. That is a profitable deal also, because Russian oil is cheaper right now because of sanctions on Russia, and also the transportation cost is cheap. I also told you Russia-China deal in yuan when it comes to oil import to China from Russia, not exactly in US dollar. So they have been criticizing the petrodollar domination for a long time. And at the same time, China says, I will buy more oil from Saudi Arabia. China is going to use its strategy very quietly, because in reality, if you see the relationship between China and Iran, indeed Iran is crucial for China, but for Iran, China is even more important. So therefore, China is today doing the balancing act, something that India also does. And I also taught you a new word in the Hindu class called dehyphenation. When Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi had gone to Israel, a lot of people were asking the question, is it valid to support Israel? Because Israel is already in a war with Palestine. But India said, I am visiting Israel only for a joint agreement into various spheres like defense, agriculture, water security. It is not about Israel-Palestine war. India did become an observer in the Gaza Peace Board. India did not promise any military support. So therefore, this is dehyphenation. When you maintain a very strong yet autonomous strategic foreign policy, independent of regional wars and not involving in anyone else's bilateral issue. Today, China is trying to do the same thing. Balancing relation with Iran and balancing its dynamics with the US, because China now doesn't want a confrontation with US again. So very interesting development in geopolitics. A quick practice question with reference to China-India relations and the recent West Asia tension. Which of these statements are valid? 1. China purchases majority of Iran's crude oil export. Second, a major disruption in the Strait of Hormuz could significantly impact China's energy security. 3. Iran is a formal transit country under IMEC. And 3. Iran and China signed a 25 years comprehensive strategic partnership agreement in 2021 linked to the BRI initiative. Which of these statements are correct? Easy question for those who've understood the topic. And for those who want more clarity, here's the QR code to my Telegram channel. You can join it today. It's a growing community of learners who are preparing for UPSC, where I keep updating you about various study material and all study IQ related events too. A quick reminder, the festival of Holi is coming. It's right here now, and a big Holi gift from our side to our dear students. 6th of March. Until 6th of March, we are having a big sale. That means at 55% off, you are getting 27 and 2028 course admission. Now do remember, if you use my code SPLIVE, then the discount could be even higher. Enroll today, because this is an all-round solution for your UPSC preparation, guaranteeing you success in the end. So thank you so much and happy Holi.